Players.
Players.
Players Own.
Players Own.
Players' own voice.
Players Own Voice.
It's Players Own Voice, a podcast from CBC Sports. By what measure is an athletic career a success? And by whose say-so? Jesse Lumsden has asked and answered that question at least 3 times as a running back in the CFL and NFL, and as an Olympian bobsleigh brakeman. In addition to being a wildly gifted athlete, Jesse is also a consistently thoughtful man. We spent ages trying to get in the same room together to record this chat, so let's not delay any more in playing it back. I'm Anastasia Busas, 2-time Olympian speed skater. Here's me and my buddy Jesse. Hard 7.1 out of 10 for looks. And I don't say that to many people. He's charmingly good looking.
I didn't put any product in my hair today, though, so.
Oh, it's perfect. NFL, CFL superstar, 3-time Olympian, multiple World Cup and World Championship medalist, avid fly fisherman, ruggedly handsome once again, Jesse Lumsden.
Thanks. That's a nice intro.
Well, only the best for you, buddy.
Certainly not an NFL and CFL superstar, but...
You're all right, Lumsden.
Thanks.
You're all right, Lummer. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I really appreciate that you took the time out of your busy day to come and chat.
I'm glad we're actually able to finally chat.
I know. I've been busy.
You have been busy.
Life on the D list.
I know. It's it's nuts.
Okay, so we're like a few months out of the Olympics, Pyeongchang 2018. Have you lifted a weight? Have you lifted a finger?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that training is a priority right now, but I definitely took a month off. I've started transitioning my body out of that phase where I need to be lifting heavy, so I've lost some weight, which has felt good. I've been on the road bike, on the trainer. Now I need to get back on the road. I've been doing some kettlebell stuff, just trying to fix like all the busted up shit that I've had throughout the career, and then lifting the baby lots.
Busted up. Can we go there? What
Yeah,
injuries?
sure.
Like name head to toe. What are you up?
Oh God, I don't even know. The major ones, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries, which was a big hindrance, in extending my football career, but at the same breath also allowed me to get into bobsleigh. And then at the end of my football career, I did my knee pretty good. So those are the major ones that I've sustained in my career. And then fortunately, the knock on wood, the noggin is pretty good. And that's kind of it. A lot of it, little things, broken fingers, broken this, that, and everything else. But it is what it is with football.
You are a pretty damn good athlete, Jesse.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I talk to athletes all the time. Most of my friends are athletes, you know this. But does it haunt you not having an Olympic medal or a Super Bowl or a Grey Cup championship?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Because that's all I ever really wanted to do. I was fortunate enough I played with some very good teams and played with some even, better people that have gone on and who have won Grey Cups and won Olympic medals. And, I always wanted to be part of the team aspect, the team win. That's all I ever wanted to do. The personal accolades are nice but I'd trade them all in for even the shot to play in a Vanier or a Grey Cup. And I mean, when you go to the Olympics, that's your chance. But that's everybody else's chance too. It's not just you versus one team. It's you versus 30 to 40 other teams that are, vying for that one particular spot. But, that's definitely, I guess you could say, it haunts me for sure.
Do you carry it around every day?
Not every day. Fortunately, I have a real good support system in place, and like yourself, and family and friends and loved ones that, you know, helped me through understanding the benefits that and what I've gained through what I've gone through. And I don't mean to sound like it's a hardship, because that's 90% of athletes out there, you know, are experiencing the same thing. Only the very small percentage get to hoist the cup or, you know, sing the national anthem. But it's through those experiences that I've learned a lot. And, you know, in my role now that we're at our office, with Resource Merchant Capital, it's my managing director kind of sat me down not too long after the Olympics and said, you know, the one thing about coming into this business is that you're going to achieve those big wins and those small wins. So it's just about changing your focus of what success looks like now, because there's no reason you still can't go after those big wins like the Olympics, like the Grey Cups. It's just changing what it looks like. So that definitely helps. And also changing my perspective of what failure actually is. And I'm fortunate enough that I can say that, I didn't, now that how I look at it, I didn't fail as an athlete. If I went into a season or went into Olympics or went into an Olympic season or a race or whatever, not prepared to my fullest, then that would be considered a failure. I can proudly say that, I did everything I could and with every opportunity that I possibly had to prepare for victory. And that gave me, the best chance I could put forward to go after that. Just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean that I failed as an athlete. And that's something that I've had to learn and teach myself, because the goals were always about a win, and that's more of the outcome as opposed to the roadmap that it takes to get there, where you actually gain all of your strength and gain all your knowledge and wisdom. And on the hardships is when you really find out about what you're doing and why you're doing it. So
can we go to Pyeongchang?
Oh yeah, of course. Like right now?
Yeah.
Verbally or
like,
literally?
Let's
figuratively?
Yeah, let's go sing some karaoke again, bud. Drink some cheap beer.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your first gut reaction when you think of your third Olympics?
At this point in time, it's disappointment. Only because, I thought with everything with how it was going, I thought it would be a different outcome. And when you don't have the exact answers as to why it didn't go that way, that's frustrating. And that's disappointing. But that's the sport of bobsleigh as well. So it's, the rule of thumb in bobsleigh races is there's three components, and you can break a victory down into thirds, and it goes the start, the push, the drive, and the equipment. And in the 4-man race, we had the start, we had the drive, and we thought we had the equipment as well, but it did not show. Somewhere there is an outlying factor that we cannot see that explains why we were not on top of the podium. Any other track in the world, with the starts that we had and the equipment we had, Justin could have made actually more mistakes as a pilot, and we still would have been on the podium. So we can't figure out why. Why on this one track? What exposed us? Where did we lose that race? And coaches have thrown around. It's gone to the point where people are throwing around crazy ideas, and that just shows that we're grasping at straws, and we really have no idea. And the 2-man, Justin was the best pilot on the track that day, hands down. He was the cleanest and most consistent over 4 runs. And him and Alex won the gold because of that. In the 4-man, we were the fastest team on every single run. Justin wasn't the best in terms of driving, but he was not the worst or even So again, it goes back to, it's like, why? It doesn't make sense, because if Justin and Alex can win with the best drive, solid equipment, and not the best push, they have that 2/3, it makes sense. But we have that 2/3 and 4-man, and you don't get the result, it doesn't make sense. So it's just one of those things that definitely racks a lot of our brains, and trying to understand why.
You pushed Cripps for the majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Justin Cripps and Jesse Lumsden. Justin Cripps is our World Cup points leader in 2-man, won for the first time in the season last weekend in Altenburg in Germany.
And you didn't for the Olympics. He goes on and wins an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
Is being a brakeman in bobsled the most cutthroat role in the Olympics?
I don't know if it's the most cutthroat role in the Olympics, but it's definitely it's a cutthroat position. The first thing that you have to understand and realize that as a brakeman, you're a support system. So whatever it is, you're in a support role. The sooner you realize that, the easier hard decisions like that become. Justin and I have pushed together since 2012 in odd and end races, and then consistently starting in the 2016-17 season. So, but at the same time, when Alex joined the team a couple years ago and he started pushing better and better and better, it becomes a performance-based decision. Alex and I pushed Justin. I think Alex actually pushed Justin in 2-man a couple more races in the Olympic season. And he had some races where he had number 1 ranked starts, and I had a couple races where I had 1 and 2 ranked starts, and it came down to a performance-based decision that the coaches felt that he was the best fit for Justin. And there's nothing you can't be bitter about something like that, because Alex was pushing very well. I felt like I was pushing really well too. I think you could have gone either way, and you probably would have gotten the same result, because Justin was a rock star driving the sled. But I'm not mad at the decision. One of the reason why I came back to the sport was to help a team get on the podium. Indirectly, I helped a team get on the podium. I'm proud. I'm super proud of those guys. Justin and I have been in the sport together since I joined the sport in 2009. I'm so proud of him. And just the fact that we had a Canadian men's team on top of the podium is such an honor. I was racing with Polo. It was his first Olympics. I was super proud of Nick and how he performed as well and handled himself well as well. And but I think the men's team, I can speak on behalf of all the men's team, we were proud Canadians that day, for sure.
You're a true teammate. You're a teammate to not just the Bob boys, but everyone on that team. Looking back, what's your biggest personal success in sport? Let's nail it down to sport.
If I look back at the entirety of the career, I think it was representing Canada the way I was able to represent Canada. So I think that's probably the biggest personal success. There are a couple wins and medals along the way that are very cool, and I'll always remember them. But in the entirety of it all, when I look back and when I remember my career in sport, it's always going to be the people in the Maple Leaf that sort of reign supreme in regards to, that bring me the most happiness when I think about things, because it's the one thing that's going to last beyond the medals and the wins and that sort of stuff. Medals, all mine are in a box somewhere.
Yeah,
I really could give a shit about where it is, and it's more about sharing that experience. And winning the Olympic medal is more about sharing that experience with the people that supported you that entire way. That's the coolest part. And the coolest part about the winning of the race is getting to stand on the podium and sing the national anthem. That's way cooler than that tangible thing that you're going to get. That's going to end up somewhere, possibly a landfill at some point in time. because it's the memory of that, and it's the experience of the people along the way that are going to last with you, hopefully forever.
Well, you're invited to my wedding, buddy, so maybe my first dance will be you singing "O Canada." Hey?
Yeah, that'd be okay. That's a terrible idea.
Oh, you got a good voice.
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, I do not.
You do. You got a baritone.
Drunk.
No.
You were drunk. If you heard me singing, then I might have been a little bit as well.
Helen Upperton is your partner. You have a beautiful daughter with her.
Yeah.
What benefits come from dating a fellow athlete?
Well, I mean, timing is important with that aspect of it, because as an athlete, you have to be somewhat selfish if you want to try to be a high performance athlete. Helen was exiting her career in 2012, and she will admit that if she was still an athlete, we probably wouldn't have made it this far, just because the dynamic of the relationship wouldn't work. But the benefit is that being on the road, I've seen it with my teammates, being on the road for sometimes 100-day stints causes strain on relationships if you don't understand the mentality of why you're doing and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Helen did, because she lived it. Mm-hmm. So that was huge. It allowed me to be completely focused on what I could do when I was on the road. I never had to worry about concerns of a partner or a spouse wondering, why I chose this road, which happened. And, I was there with some of my teammates when they were, on both sides of the fence, when they're questioning their relationships, whoever it was coming from. So it's not an easy thing to be with an athlete. You have to definitely be, if you are an athlete, you get it. If you're not, you have to try your best to get it, because in the end, being an athlete only lasts so long. Yeah. It's a blink of an eye in comparison to into hopefully what you have as a long, healthy, fulfilled life. So it can be a strain on relationships. It can be tough. It definitely is helpful when you have a partner who has lived it.
Having a new family, has that changed the way you see success?
Well, success in certain things, for sure. I think looking at success as an athlete, you can't look at it through the same lens as being a successful parent. I mean, you train to be an athlete, try to be like a perfect machine, and you cannot do that as a parent, because you're dealing with this tiny human being like yourself, and like yourself, you did not operate on a certain program growing up and learning and adapting. It's all new, it's all different, and it's not like having a puppy. So I think it forces you to change your mindset a little bit, because as an athlete, you have to be so regimented, and you can't be like that with a baby. It's just not possible.
Where are you most at peace?
That's a good question. I know some people that will hate when I say this, but usually when I'm by myself. I love my family and friends, but I like also being on my own, whether it's just sitting in a dark room or being on the river or being in the mountains or whatever. That's usually when I'm able to find peace, but I don't necessarily, peace and joy are in two different hands, so I can find balance in both. I find peace being surrounded by my loved ones, and I find a ton of joy being around my loved ones. And at the same time, when I'm at peace, I often think that, having my loved ones experience the moment that I'm also in would add more joy to that moment. So it's tough. But, with Florence, you find a ton. I have a ton of, when she's not just sprinting off somewhere on all fours to get into trouble, the quiet moments and the special ones, I'm definitely at peace with her and the rest of my loved ones, yeah.
She was, on a personal note, Florence, baby Flossie,
yep.
Jesse and Helen's daughter, visited the CBC studios quite a few times.
Oh,
Obviously, Helen doing the commentary for the Olympics. And she was always just she was a little piece of joy for everyone.
She's a happy baby.
Happy baby.
She got tested early because she went to the UK to see her great grandparents on Helen's side. She'd been to Toronto a number of times to see my parents and visit other family. She's been to Korea to cheer me on with mom and grandma and grandma and grandpa on my side. So from that, she's definitely been tested, and she's a friggin' champ.
Your father's a Hall of Fame football player.
Yep.
You're a world-class, world-leading athlete. Will that dictate, or your experience dictate, what sports you put baby Flossie in?
No. We joke about, my dad actually made a prediction. He said he was walking the dog and he had his headphones on. He had a thought just not too long ago, actually. And he said he was going to tell me, and I'll share it because it's a neat story. He was going to tell me, and he was only going to say it once and only going to bring it up once. But he said he's like, she's going to be a hockey player. And then my mom scoffed and kind of laughed it off. But yeah, you just don't know. I mean, I hope she doesn't do bobsleigh. There are much better sports. If she's a golfer, I'd be happy to carry her bag and caddy for her. I hope she does choose a sport. Even if she goes into sport, that she chooses one that involves warm weather.
Yeah,
tennis, golf, track and field. She, potentially has she has good genetics to be a multi-eventer. So I'll just give her, as my parents did for me. They showed me a lot of doors. I walked through them.
Yeah. And
they were always there for me to come back out that door and either say that's not for me or ask for advice and help. And I think that's probably the philosophy that I'll take on things as well.
The ups and downs and the journey of sport and what it brings us. Would you do it all again?
Oh, for sure. It's the great, especially representing Canada. It's the greatest job I've ever had. It's so cool. And then, and I say disappointed is the knee-jerk reaction when I think of performance, but when I do look back and when I will look back, one of the coolest things that I got to experience was having Florence there. Mm-hmm. And I was there as a kid when my dad was playing professional football. I was always envious of teammates that had kids that were in the locker room wearing the jersey. So that will be probably the greatest thing that will come from all of it. She'll never remember, but we got lots of video and pictures. I wouldn't change much either, which I'm pretty proud to say. I don't know if a lot of people could say that. I think a lot of the steps along the way shaped and molded me at certain times that were important. I developed a pretty good work ethic once I got to university football, and I wish I had that and been able to apply that work ethic into, as cliche as this may sound, into school and high school as well, and in university, because I was a bit of I'm just going to play football. Mm-hmm. And that's where all my focus was. And it's not until you reach the end of your career that you realize, holy shit, that really did go by in a blink of an eye. And now, hopefully at 35, I got a long, long road ahead of me and a lot of other things that I can do along the way. So if I was to go back and tell my 18-year-old self that, it would be like, listen, dingus, you got to apply yourself in a couple other areas here. Yeah.
You could be a model too, though, bud. You're ruggedly good looking. Ben Hebert said that too, Yeah. He was chirping you a little bit, but he said, geez.
Ben is a chirper.
He's the biggest pigeon in the Olympics. That's what I deemed him.
Oh, God. But he's such a beauty.
He's the biggest beauty, but biggest pigeon.
And
Super pidge.
He's a big pigeon for sure, especially on the golf course. But on the ice, I mean, we have our beer league hockey team at Winsport, which is filled with a bunch of Olympians, and Ben got kicked out for having 3 penalties the other day.
That's what he said.
Yeah, just got nice mitts on him, no legs.
He's a curler.
Decent half clapper, but a mouth like a freight train.
Jesse, thank you so much for joining me. You know, it's always a pleasure when we connect. You and I have had a few good heart-to-hearts talking about the meaning of life, and it's always a pleasure, and you've bettered my life. So,
and you too.
Jesse Lumsden, thanks again. Peace.
Peace.
That was my friend, confidant, and all-around monster of an athlete, Jesse Lumsden. We recorded our conversation back in my old hometown of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Before you go, just a reminder, if you are a fan of hockey or storytelling, then add the Hockey Night in Canada podcast to your list of must-listen-to podcasts. Rob Pizzo catches up with many of the colorful characters within the sport as they reminisce about the great moments and players of the game. It goes way beyond just the stats and scores. Players Own Voice podcast is a CBC Sports production. Email your comments to us, playersownvoicepodcast@cbc.ca. Social media, #PlayersOwnVoice. David Giddens is the producer. Graham McDonald is the sound mixer. I'm Anna Stasher for all of your social needs. Thanks for listening.
Love CBC podcasts? Help us make them better. Take our CBC Podcast listener survey now at cbc.ca/podcasts. The quick survey will help us improve your favorite CBC podcasts. cbc.ca/podcasts.